It is mid in the morning here on Alive 107.3. Lee with you right the way through until 9 a.m. this morning. And you know me, listeners, we know each other well enough by now. Huge fan of wrestling. And people often ask me, say, Lee, where did your love of wrestling begin? And I'm going to be honest, my earliest memories, like so many people of my age here in the UK, begin with Dickie Davis and World of Sport back Saturday afternoons, growing up watching it with my granny and my papa. A brand that was so important, not just to me, but to the British wrestling scene until its axing back in the late 80s. They got very excited a couple of years ago. You remember, World of Sport came back onto Saturday nights on ITV, where it belonged. There was even that live tour in 2019. If you were lucky enough to get along and see that, I know there were some great nights of entertainment. And the brand planned to continue until COVID got in the way. And I'm going to be honest, the brand has been on the shelf until now. Earlier this summer, it was announced that WOS Wrestling is coming back with a series of show tapings, which get underway later this month. And that roster taking shape has got some great names included on it: Shah Samuels, Adam Maxted, and Martin Kirby. In the women's division, we're going to see LA Taylor, Alex Windsor, and Nightshade all in action. Even our very own Grado is going to be part of the WS Wrestling roster, which I'm very excited about, as will my guest at this time. She's a good friend from many years ago. I'm delighted to have her here on Alive 107.3 with me this morning. Let's say a very good morning to SoCal Val. Val, how are you, my friend?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, Val. And I am so excited about this. So psyched for so many people. WOS Wrestling has been an important part of their education, their growing up, their introduction to the world of professional wrestling. How excited are you to be part of the return of WOS? And Val, you've got all the scoop on this. How did this return actually come about?
Well, first of all, there's so many reasons to be excited. I mean, as you mentioned, it's a lot of nostalgia for people that grew up watching WOS Wrestling, World of Sport. But there's so many great newcomers, some great new stars that were debuting in this particular run. But yeah, as you said, I mean, COVID really changed a lot for the wrestling landscape and how we film and what we do, what we watch. But WOS, this is the perfect time for us to come back. I mean, we have some of our returning stars that you know and love from the ITV series. But as I mentioned, we are giving a lot of opportunities to new people that you might not have seen before, and to support British wrestling in that way and sort of give these amazing talents a platform like WOS is really probably the most exciting part of it.
It really is. Just looking at this, I mean, obviously, if you head over to the Facebook page, facebook.com/WOS Wrestling, or checking out the website, woswrestling.co.uk, you can see everybody that's signing up to this. And it really is a great mix of new up and comers, as you said, Val, and established British wrestling veterans. How important was it to get that combination right, do you think?
I think it's an interesting mix. And I think you have to remember that, yes, we want to see nostalgic stars and we want to see the ones that we've come to love on the ITV series. But, the great thing about me living in the UK for the past 8+ years is I've done different promotions. I've gone to different independent shows, and I've really had my eye on a certain few that I'm so thrilled WS is actually bringing to the table. LA Taylor, as you mentioned, is one of my personal favorites. Of course, we love Grado, who's returning. He's the most entertaining star in all of wrestling, in my opinion. Mercedes Blaze, we're really putting a spotlight on female wrestling where I think it deserves to be. Adam Maxted, I know a lot of fans love him from Love Island. He's got that following as well. So I think it's a mix of kind of, brute and brawn and beauty and brains. And I think we've really got the mix right this time for sure. Better than ever.
Hey, it's a fantastic one. I cannot wait to see what actually happens. And it's not just the talent in the ring that you are showcasing, if we look at this, Val, because obviously you've got, I think, one of the most energetic, enthusiastic, dynamic men in the UK wrestling scene involved. We are, of course, talking about the amazingly talented Tom Campbell. How
Yes.
is how are you going to try and rein Tom in? Because he is a
Oh my
ball of energy.
gosh. I know. And we love that though. We love the energy that Tom is going to bring to the show. And on commentary, that's where I'll be with Tom. I
Hmm.
think we're going to have a great mix. And luckily we already know we have chemistry because I've worked with him before. But to have Tom in the mix is, I think, a great idea. Plus I like the dynamic of a female and a male commentary team. We also have Joanna Rose as our ring announcer. We've really pulled out what in my opinion, the best of British wrestling to, have a well-rounded cast of characters. Tom's going to be amazing. We've got such big characters. As I mentioned, Grado, who is, beloved for so many reasons. I mean, I Panto, three doors down, two doors down. He's done so many amazing things, but obviously him as a wrestler is my favorite journey of his. And I have to say, we're not just doing one show on September 14th, we're doing two shows. And I definitely want to stress the idea and invite people to come to both shows because the story is going to continue onto the evening show. And when I mention the word stories, I say that with conviction because storytelling is what WOS Wrestling is all about. And that's what makes me love wrestling. It's good versus evil. Also something I love about our particular brand is that you're not going to see a lot of what you see on the independent scene, which is kind of the edgier, the blood, the cursing, we're a family friendly program. And I love that about WS. And that's what you're going to see in both shows. But when you stay for both, you're really going to see the continuation of the stories that are happening right in front of you. And to see it live and in person, there's nothing else like it.
There's nothing like pro wrestling action when you get the chance. If you do fancy going to see it, it's Saturday, September 14th, at the Epic Studios in Norwich. As we can see, you can get your tickets right now. woswrestling.co.uk. All the details on our Facebook page. And Val, when we look at what goes on in today's different era, we mentioned also when WS Wrestling came back in 2019, it was on ITV, it was on ITV1. The broadcast landscape has changed so much in the past 5 years. These shows being taped to go on the WOS social media channels and digital broadcast platforms. How important was it to you and the team involved with WOS Wrestling to make this as accessible to as many people as possible so they can really experience WOS Wrestling?
That's a great question. And you know what? It's paramount to make it accessible to everybody because I think sometimes people have a myopic view of independent wrestling shows, as it were, or wrestling shows that are not, on the scale of WWE or TNA or AEW. But I think you have to think globally. You have to think about the kid, Johnny Appleseed watching in Ohio, or, someone watching in India, or all over the world. People love wrestling. I went to Pakistan with Ring of Pakistan years ago, and the kids at school had John Cena backpacks. You forget how far reaching wrestling really is. And some people will go, is wrestling as popular as it used to be? And I'm thinking, well, yeah, I mean, they're selling out stadiums in the UK, all over the world, and it's bigger and better than ever. And WS is a global brand. So as we keep that in mind, we want to know that it's being broadcast digitally, meaning everyone's going to get a chance to see it because British wrestling doesn't deserve anything less than having a global platform. We want everyone to know what WS is about. We want to showcase all of these amazing talents and what they can offer on a global scale.
It's going to be one for the ages of that. I'm most definitely sure. It's so good. It's so exciting. I cannot wait to see the finished product on screen. Know some of the people that are involved behind the scenes. Also, we've got Dean, we've got Tom, we've got yourself, all with
Yeah.
this battle. But how? And just on personal, I want to. How difficult was it for yourself to make the transition first round from being in front of the camera to calling action on the headset? Because many people think it's quite easy to do, but it's so difficult. I've tried it myself a couple of times with some local
Yeah.
independent guys, and it is an art form in itself. How long did it take you to fully get comfortable in that transition to calling the action in the ring?
Oh, that's a great question because yeah, being a part of the show as a manager slash valet, that's what I did for the most part. I was a ring girl, I was in storylines and things like that. Wrestled a teeny bit, that was never for me. I bruised like a peach. That's another story for another time. But yeah, being behind the headset, as it were, I luckily had a lot of opportunities to do that in America for places like Shine Wrestling. But the thing is, what's interesting is being a character. Like I was, playing a character as SoCal Val, this kind of villainous character in Shine Wrestling, and I could just, be my evil self and speak as that character. But to then as you said, kind of transition to being a broadcaster, an announcer. My biggest crash course of that was working with Stu Bennett, Wade Barrett, and Alex Shane in WS on ITV. And what's great about it is the feedback. And I kept saying, just give me any feedback you want, good, bad, or ugly, doesn't matter. They kept saying, just be you. We want you to be you. And I said, well, I have an American accent. You know, I'm American. They said, we get it. We understand. We like that it sounds like the wrestling from the States. The more you are you, the better you sound. And so I have to, number one, stay true to myself. That's something that I was luckily given feedback for and reminded to just kind of be the biggest version of yourself you can be, but stay true to yourself. But also, I also have to tap into my inner fan. You know, I've been a fan of wrestling since I was about, oh gosh, I started watching around like 98, 99, and was the biggest fan of wrestling before I got into it. So because I was a fan, I am a fan, I get to tap into it and literally react as a fan would, because that's my true, honest reaction. So for that reason, having so many years of fandom has really paid off, because I just want to give a truthful performance, and I want it to sound as excited as I genuinely am.
We will be excited about it. We cannot wait to see what happens in the ring at September the 14th at the Epic Studios in Norwich. But Val, just on the same subject there, obviously, how difficult is it to try? Because when you're on the headset, you've got to be impartial. You're meant to be impartial. You've got to try and call it as best you can. But we all know we have our favourites in and out the ring. We get a little bit more enthusiastic. Who do you really have to try and, I'm not going to say bite your tongue, but try and rein in a little bit for some of that, because there's nothing worse than
you know what?
getting low blown or something like that. Those shenanigans.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and it depends, because some of my favorites have then taken a turn of events where they're doing, you know, unscrupulous acts and they're doing deviant things where I have to go, wait a minute, I loved this person, and then they've turned on their best friend. Or, you know, Adam Maxted, for example, that's a great example, actually. Adam Maxted, who I love, and, you know, I love his work. He, you know, has a cocky side. I don't know if we're going to see that this time or not, but he can be very full of himself. And as gorgeous as Adam Maxted is, you know, sometimes I think the showboating can kind of get in the way of what he's doing in the ring sometimes. You know, Grado is a huge favorite of mine. So for me, I always fangirl over Grado. But also some of the women, you know, Mercedes Blaze, L.A. Taylor, Alex Windsor, Nightshade, some of them have really nasty sides. And I think what happens is, as great as they are as females that I know and love, when you put a WS title in the mix, which there is a vacant WS title, and then of course they're veering for the WS Women's Championship, all bets are off. You know, the hoop earrings come off, the gloves come off, and these girls are going to get scrappy and down to it, and there's going to be no best friends in that ring. So for that reason, we have to keep an eye on these ladies, for sure.
We do indeed. And no, I'm going to put you on the spot here, Val, but just between you, me, and the listeners, who should we be watching when we come down to that epic TV viewing, the broadcast taping? Who should we keep an eye on? Where's Val's friendly fiver going on? Who's walking out with those titles?
Ooh, you know, because I have to stay impartial. As a WS official announcer, I have to remain Switzerland here. I have to say, and I do say this genuinely, everyone is insanely talented. They wouldn't have been chosen for this particular project if they weren't insanely talented and, you know, well respected in the industry. Also, they have to tick all those boxes. They have to be the total package. They have to look amazing. They have to be amazing in the ring. They have to be amazing with the fans. They have to be good at social media, promoting themselves, you know, knowing their own brand and promoting themselves in that way. So we've literally cherry picked all of these people to be a part of this project, but it's really anyone's game. And I will say that it's not really a thing of like, oh, this person's definitely going to win or this person's definitely a contender. It's really anyone's game, because the title is vacant as well in WS. And then for the women's championship, there are so many amazing talents there that it's up for grabs. I mean, everyone has to be at the top of their game, which I think they are. And you better believe September 14th, they're going to come in with their A game. And I cannot wait to be there and just call the action. And as I said, fangirl for myself, because WS, you know, I love the brand. I'm honored to be a part of this nostalgic brand that means so much to so many. And we're going to have to wait and see September 14th. Be there for both shows, because you're going to want to see those stories continue.
You are indeed. You can grab your tickets right now. woswrestling.co.uk. All the details on how you can get your tickets on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel as well. We will speak with the rest of the roster later this week here on the Live 107.3. But thank you very much for joining us, SoCal Val.
Thank you so much. See you soon.